Uh, Hey, okay, it should be working now, right?
What up? Yes, sir. I hear you.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me get the chat pulled up here. And I think we're live already. I just started a little earlier. Make sure we got all the
Yeah,
bugs worked out of this.
yeah. I saw that. I mean, it looked like you've been live on your channels here for the last little while with the countdown. It just lets people hop in and get ready for it. That's cool.
Yeah, I took the idea from McAfee. We watch the McAfee show every day, so I see why you do it. It lets you kind of get everything set up beforehand and try to get
Yeah,
all your eggs in basket. So
that makes sense.
get us
What you got a
rearranged
cool
here.
little studio set up there? Where's that?
Parents' garage.
Nice,
Same
nice.
house you came to when we
Yeah,
did that color design, just out in the garage versus inside. So,
nice, nice. That's a cool little studio you got there. I've been
yeah.
loving the content too.
Well, thank you. Just been trying to up my game on that now that I'm home and not tied down to the airbrush for 10 hours a day, trying to do some more other than, being stuck in the paint booth.
Yeah, you got a little free time right now. You can take advantage of it.
Yep, sneaking a little fishing too. We went fishing yesterday, Cross Creek. It was good. I mean, it's up and muddy, but it's fishing good
Nice.
for what we like to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't got out since I've been home from Texas, but I'm going tomorrow to Watts Bar. I'm actually so I donated a guide trip to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, and it was an auction in the fall, and the winners drove down today, and we're going out tomorrow in Watts Bar. So
oh,
I'm
nice.
going to get out and do a little fishing at home tomorrow.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's a good time of year for crankbaits too.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. So,
That's
guess
it.
I'll go ahead and get you introduced and everything. Like I said, we're already live, but we'll just do this as our official start
Yeah,
of
yeah,
start of
whatever
the
you want to
stream.
do.
So, cool. Well, I'm Nick Folks here with Folks Custom Cranks. Joining us today is Matt Becker, uh, originally from Pennsylvania. Lived about 15, 20 miles from us. Moved down south, which was a smart decision for career purposes. But he is the 2023 Rookie of the Year for Bass Pro Tour. He is the 2023 Angler of the Year on the Bass Pro Tour. Two-time MLF team champion, one of them in Erie. And you've won BFLs, Toyotas, Pro Circuit, BPT tournaments, a little bit of everything. So you got
Yeah,
quite the resume. So thank you for joining us, Matt. We greatly appreciate it.
of course, absolutely. I love seeing the social media presence get rolling. I mean, I feel like it's really going to help you grow your brand. So any way I can help contribute to that, I'm all for it. So yeah, thanks for reaching out, and I think this is a pretty cool deal you got going on.
Oh heck yeah! And we'll be seeing you a couple weeks at Red Crest. We don't have we're kind of went on a whim. We're gonna go walk around, network at the show, if you will,
Yeah,
just to go and have fun. Because after working shows for 3 months out of the year, it'd be nice to just go and leave and go when you want to, and not have to stand there for 8 hours and be a salesman. So,
yeah, that's one thing I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, it is. I don't think people realize how much work goes into that for you guys. Like as an exhibitor, like
sure.
I don't think people realize how much behind the scenes work of you prepping baits, and then even at the show, like you said. I mean, you're there for 10 plus hours a day. I mean, it's you don't get a break. It's one
Nah.
customer after another, so you don't even get a break to take a drink or go eat lunch or anything. Like it's full on full blast. So I mean, it's really impressive that you guys knock it out, and love to see it for sure. But yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys around at Red Crest.
Yeah, we I believe they're making you guys do like a media day, kind of like
Yeah,
Bassmaster on Thursday. So I went ahead and being on Table Rock, painted up some wiggle warts, the newer ones, but I will have some pre-Rapala wiggle warts with me. Painted them up and then I personalized them, put them red crest. I've done some videos this past week on it. So you'll be getting a wiggle wart with your name on the belly of it. So will all the other guys. So gonna make some more
that's
videos
awesome.
out of that and
Yeah, that's
think it'll
really
be
cool.
pretty fun and cool.
I saw the picture of them last night, and I was like, man, they look pretty good. I'm excited about that, and I'm gonna be torn. I don't know if I
Then
should keep it as a memento or if I should just fish it. It's like what do I do with that? It's pretty good looking.
Well, I think you're gonna get hooked up with a pre or Apollo Wigglewort too, so you have a couple different options if needed.
Well, we'll tie that one on then.
Don't blame you.
No, that's awesome.
We
Yeah,
freezing?
looking forward to that. So that's coming up soon. I mean, we're shoot, Redcrest is we leave next weekend and practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off day, media day is Thursday, and tournaments Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's shoot, I got another week at home here, and then we're heading to Table Rock.
Okay, sorry, I lost connection there, so I
Oh, you're good.
apologize for that. But I think we're good. Like I said, we're out the garage. I literally got a Ethernet cord ran from the house going to the garage. So,
Yeah. No, no, you're good. Everything's rolling good.
um, okay, we're back. So, sorry about that. Wanted to bring up, crankbaits. Anything you want to talk crankbait wise? I have some questions as well. We're gonna take
Yeah,
questions from any commenters if they have any questions. So just general crankbait talk. We both throw crankbait a lot. We kind of grow
yeah,
up fishing a lot of the same places, the great fisheries we have in Pennsylvania. So just wanted to pick your brain, have people pick our brains, and get some information out there about crankbaits and whatever. So
yeah. I mean, it's crankbait's like one of those baits that you really can't do anything wrong with it, to be honest with you. And I've actually, two of my best tournaments this year, a crankbait has been a huge player in doing well. So stage two on the Bass Pro Tour at Lake Hartwell, a flat sided crankbait was a huge player for me. I actually, the final day, I mean, I was within one bite of the lead with an hour to go. And the bulk of that was on a crankbait. And, same sort of deal at Lake Wheeler just the week after the Classic. So just a couple weeks ago, it was the same deal. I mean, I was one bite away from winning, and a lot of my key fish came on a crankbait. So lately, I feel like a crankbait's been something that's fit a lot more into my game plan. And honestly, a lot of that has to do with the forward facing sonar regulations that we've had on the tournaments, where you can only use those for 3 hours a day or 2.5 hours a day. So there you got a bulk of your day where you're just old school fishing, if you want to call it that. And for me, I have kind of just locked a crankbait into my hands for a long period in those stretches, and just covered a bunch of water, go down the bank, and just honestly, what I've been calling it is putting a bait in my hand that allows me to put myself in position to get lucky. So I'm just casting and winding and just waiting for that fish to load up and catch one. So, crankbait's something that you can do that. You can just cast and wind and cover a bunch of water. And, we can dive in, and I'm curious to hear what kind of questions you got. We can dive into the specifics of everything. So let's see what you got.
yeah, so I my connection keeps going in and out. So again, I apologize on that. It's raining outside. Who knows if it has anything to do with it? Um, but yeah, like you said, you can't do a lot wrong. I mean, the only thing I see guys doing wrong is fishing it too fast. But still, even then, I mean, certain points of the year that actually helps catch fish, herring lakes. You have
Yeah.
more experience with that than I do. Of course, I've not fished outside of the state as much as you have going everywhere. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a time where speed cranking can be a deal. In cleaner water, it seems like sometimes the faster you move it, the better off it is. But I would say, in a general rule of thumb, for me, when I'm cranking, I like probably a slow to medium gear ratio reel, like somewhere in that 6.2 to 7.1 kind of gear ratio is generally what I'm using. And then you can kind of adjust your hand retrieve if you want to slow down or speed up from there. But I still like the ability, if I want to be able to pick up a bunch of line, to have that ability to do that with the little bit faster gear ratio. So I use a lot of 7.1 gear ratios on a lot of my crankbaits, square bills, flat sides, things like that. just because I feel like I can really slow down that handle if I want to, but I can also have that speed when I need it or whatnot.
I agree with that. It's really hard work on you when you have an old school 4-1 or 5-1. You're just
Yeah,
sitting there just
yeah.
trying to catch up on something. So
I
I
will
agree
say
with you there.
on while we're on that, like the higher gear ratios like that, it can wear you out if you're throwing a big deep diving crankbait. If I'm on the
True.
Tennessee River and I'm throwing a 20-foot diver, 25-foot diver, and I'm really cranking, I mean it puts a lot of strain on your forearm. So you start feeling the effects of it there. So that's when
Oh
that
yeah.
gear ratio comes into play a little bit. But that's man, just talking about that gets me fired up. What are we? It's April 1st. We got probably another 6 weeks before I can get out on the Tennessee River and catch them on the big plug, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's definitely we don't get to do a whole lot of that up here, as you know. Pretty much the closest thing we have is Erie fishing smallmouth, similar
Yeah,
but different. But that's a heck of a deep crankbait bite. But same thing too. I mean, you do that all day, your shoulders wore out, you're just everything's just destroyed after doing that all day smallmouth fishing.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And yeah, when a smallmouth eats a crankbait, it's something that you just have to experience to know what that's like. I mean, they
Freight train.
absolutely train wreck it, about rip the rod out of your hand a lot of times. I feel like if you're largemouth fishing, a lot of time it just kind of loads up, like you ran it into a rock or a stump or something. Just kind of gets heavy as you load into it. But a smallmouth, that's not the case. I feel like a lot of times they hit it running away from the bait. Like they hit it and run away, and it really, really fun. And that's one of my favorite ways to catch a smallmouth up there in Erie and in the bay and stuff. About this time of year, that's one of the best bites you can get on.
Yeah, we'll be actually throwing on new troll motor on the big boat this week, and then should be ready to go and hopefully be going up there probably after Red Crest, just because be a little bit chaotic trying to fit that in before we leave. But definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting videos for all the guys with the new fancy glasses and all that fun stuff up there. Makes it a lot easier to record and everything. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. You with your meta glasses
oh
or
yeah.
Ray-Ban? Which ones do you have?
Oakley ones, the
The
meta
Oakley ones?
whatever's.
Yeah,
Yeah. But they've
yeah.
been nice for painting, and took them fishing yesterday, and it'd be cool for that. So helping
Absolutely.
ease
No,
the
I know.
pain of trying to do videos.
For sure. I know a lot of guys use that for content, and it's quick, easy, and I mean it's a cool point of view. So I definitely think that's a good add to your lineup for sure.
And then while we're on the crankbait talk too, I wanted to talk. We were talking reels. Of course, we already said kind of our ratios, and then rod lengths. If you
Yeah.
have preferences for different styles, whatever. If you want to go over that with everyone.
Yeah, so lately I've been really using two different crankbait rods. Especially for spring time of year cranking. Generally, I would say it's 10 foot or less. I've been throwing a 7 foot. I would call it more of a medium heavy moderate. It's a Phoenix crankbait rod. It's the X10, so it's a 7 foot medium heavy moderate action. Just a perfect all around for your small little crankbaits, 6 foot divers, little flat sides. The Bill Lewis hammer flat's been one I've been throwing a lot, so it's perfect for those little style baits. And then as you get a little bit deeper, I like a little bit longer rod. So more of your like 10 to 12 foot divers, your wiggle warts, your rock crawlers, that type crankbaits. I like throwing on a 7 foot 6 medium heavy moderate, and it's the Phoenix X12 is the model on that one. So it's just a longer rod, but basically the same action as the X10. And those are really the two rods that I've pretty well locked in the boat for the spring cranking. Obviously, we get into the deeper cranking and stuff. I got to use a little bit bigger and heavier rods for that. But those two rods right there pretty much cover all of my cranking needs this time of year, and I've really really liked them. They're really light. They're graphite. That's one thing that I'm big on is I really like a graphite crankbait rod. I don't like the glass that feels real flimsy and not sensitive at all. I like a graphite moderate action, crankbait rod that very soft, moderate action, but I want it to be graphite for the sensitivity and stuff. And those rods have been absolutely awesome. I got a bunch of them rigged up. I'm going to be working on tackle next week for Red Crest, and I'm going to have quite a few of them rigged up and ready because I hear that's a crankbait lake, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great event, regardless of however everyone's catching them. It's gonna be fun to watch, and if it does line up to be a great crankbait bite, that'll be even better to watch for at least our end. So
No
looking
doubt.
forward to that. And I'm right there with you when talking about the rods. I've used glass rods. I definitely see their purpose, but for me, I just like regular old graphite. I just feel like you get the most sensitivity with glass. You kind of lose sensitivity, especially in you're fishing, like Erie where you're bombing out a 140-foot cast, and even though you got fluorocarbon line, you still first
Yeah,
beginning that cast, you just don't feel nothing. It just feels like mush. So I just like being able to feel what my crankbait's doing, feel if it's got grass on it, feel if it's got snot on it or whatever. So it's nice having just as as direct of connection as you can to it without being nothing too
absolutely.
flimsy in between.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I am all for graphite crankbait rods. Like you said, I've tried the composite and I just can't get behind it. I feel like you lose way more than you gain using those type of rods. So,
True.
to each their own. A lot of guys love them. I know that probably the greatest crankbait fisherman of all time, Kevin Van Dam, like he loved them. He swore by them. But for me, I like the graphite. I like the sensitivity. I like the feel, and that's what I'm rolling with on my crankbait rods.
Heck yeah, and those phoenixes. I mean, me and my dad have a few of the phoenix feathers, and like you said, light, sensitive, just perfect for finesse. Of course they have stouter rods, but we
Yeah,
like them for our finessier type approach that we all fish this way. So, want to note if anyone has any crankbait questions, put them in the comments below. We'll get to them. We'll try and cover them in this video as well. So if you guys have any questions, comment on whatever platform you're watching. It should pull up for both of us, and we can answer anyone else's questions.
heck yeah.
Uh, oh, okay. We have a question not showing in the comments. What is your favorite place to fish in the U.S.?
Favorite place in the U.S. Man, that's a tough question. That is a really tough question. I've been to a lot of places, and there's a ton of good fisheries. I would have to say I'll break it down to two. I'll do a north and a south in the U.S. So in the south, I would have to say Lake Murray is my favorite fishery. It's just a place that you can literally catch them on any bait that you want, moving baits, slow baits, top water. And really, most times of the year, you can catch them on all those. They really like fast moving stuff. They're pretty much always feeding up on things, so you can catch them on power fishing baits, and the quality is incredible in Lake Murray. So that's a lake that I just always love going to is Lake Murray. In the north, that's probably my all time favorite lake's going to be Lake Champlain. Champlain's just incredible. You got, mix of largemouth and smallmouth. You could go catch, a 20-pound bag of either one of them any day of the week. It's really incredible. And just the diversity of habitat and scenery and everything put together. I mean, Champlain is a special place for sure. So I would have to say Champlain's my favorite lake of all time.
That's pretty fair. I definitely, well, both are on my bucket list, but Murray definitely seems like it's just been hot in the last 10 years or so, especially in chock full big largemouth that seem like they act like spots, but they're largemouth and they're full of them in that lake. So I've fished
Yeah,
Smith Mountain Lake. It seems, I mean,
yeah,
for me, it looks similar on a map and how everything looks. Of course, once you get there, I'm sure it's completely different. But that's probably the closest I've been able to fish to something like that is Smith Mountain Lake, where it's got a lot of big largemouth. It's deep, clear, got your docks.
Yeah,
And you got dirty water, so that's where we always found ourselves going to fish the dirty water. But there was literally everything you could do, everything on that lake and catch fish. So that's what makes a fun lake.
for sure. I was impressed. So we went to Smith Mountain Lake last year for heavy hitters, and I was really, really impressed with that place. Like I want to go back there. It was it definitely reminded me of Lake Murray. It fished the lower end fished very similar to Lake Murray. So it was to me, it was kind of a combination of like a Lake Murray and a Dale Hollow. If you kind of mix those two lakes together, it was a awesome lake. And I was really impressed with Smith Mountain Lake. That's somewhere I want to get back to.
Yeah, looks like we have a question from Paul, good friend of ours.
Yeah.
Let's see. He wants to know, talking knots, I'd rather know if you position your knot to get a particular action or direction, or do you always use loop knots or split rings? So talking about tying on to crankbaits.
Yeah. For me, I always use a split ring um, on all my crankbaits just because most of them already have it on there. I'm not, using a snap or anything like that. I'm just quickly tying on to the split ring. But one thing I will say when tying on to a split ring, um, I think I actually have some crankbaits laying around in here. I can maybe, we got some display items in here, all sorts of different stuff we got in the office. This is a wild looking bait here, but this is a little different. It has the oval type split ring. But for me, there's always going to be a little notch in that split ring, where the two pieces meet, where that's how you thread it on. I always like that knot to be kind of close to that, or maybe in that notch. That way, when the rest of the split ring is in the eye of the bait, it's not hitting that notch, and it's that that notch is going to change the action of that bait if that is in the line tie of the bait here. So I always like that notch to be outside. So generally I tie my line into that little notch right there. That way I know the rest of the split ring is actually into the line tie or the hook hanger coming out of the bait, and it gives it that perfect action.
Makes a lot of sense. I've seen a lot of that myself. If you tie on, especially on an oval split ring, you got to be really
Yeah.
careful. If you tie onto an oval split ring on the long end, your bait won't run right because it's just doesn't have the balance or
Yes.
whatever. And then same thing. I'm sure you've been accused of doing it when you're lazy. When you retie, you're not cutting the full
The
knot off. You just
end
leave a
off.
little.
Yeah.
Yep, and then that'll end up in the somewhere in the split ring, and then that's also affecting the action. So that
Yeah.
was a good question, Paul.
For sure. And it's just something that you want to just make sure you don't just want to tie the knot, sloppily. You want to just pay attention to where that knot cinches down, because really every bait split ring is going to be a little bit different. If it's an oval, if it's a circle, whatever, they're going to be a little bit different. But just that's something that not a lot of people pay attention to, that it's super important to make sure that really where you tie your line is going to be obviously the opposite side of where that split ring is connected to the bait on the eye hanger of the bait. So you want to make sure that that is a even surface that eye is on. That way that bait can work properly, and
Yep.
not, if it's hitting the notch of that split ring, it's going to cause that bait to not work properly. So that's something that really nobody ever thinks about or talks about, but it's super important to pay attention to when you're tying on a bait.
100%. I know I've tied on good many, especially up on Erie jerk baits that have like 5 tag ends on them. I'm like, man, why is this thing not running right? But I'm like, yeah, I probably need
Yeah,
to just do a fresh a
you got to
fresh
cut all
trim
this
and
off.
restart.
So on that topic, that's one of my pet peeves. Like when I reach into my box and I pull out a bait and it still has a tag end on it, that just bugs me. That just irks me so bad. It just, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. So I've tried to make it more of a point that whenever I'm cutting off a bait and before I put it away, put it back in the box, that I make sure that old knot is cut off. That way I can grab one out of the box and tie it right on, and not have to worry about old line or something on there.
You'd hate to see my box, is all I gotta
Oh, geez.
say. I tried to do that over the winter. That's my winter project, is get everything, resorted and fresh and ready for the year, but you know how it goes.
Yeah, that's the deal. That's something you do in the off season. I mean, during the actual, fishing days, that's hard to do for sure. You're just grabbing and not trying to spend any time on that. You're trying to be fishing, but that's something that I do a lot in the off season for sure. In the winter months, I will let go through a lot of boxes, and especially this past year, I made a kind of a sponsor edition with Evolution Fishing, which is tackle storage needs, so that I was changing out all the boxes. So literally, I put my hands on every single hard bait that I own this fall and winter. So it was a good opportunity to go through there and make sure everything's cleaned up and change out any old rusty hooks and stuff. I mean, it was a lot of time, a lot of process, but I'm glad I did it because now I feel like everything is really dialed in and I'm as organized as I've ever been.
That's always nice to start fresh when you fresh instead of
Yeah.
having a disaster already started in a tackle box or whatever.
Oh,
So
for sure, for sure. But I'm one of those guys that when I take a box of crankbaits, I'm curious how yours are. I'm sure it's the same way. When I take a your hard tackle Plano style box, and I fill that thing to the brim, as many baits as I can get in there. No dividers, no nothing. Just fill that thing full of crankbaits. And then always the one you want, you grab it and just they all come out with it. You just sit there and just shake until it comes free, and then you just shove the rest of them down in there. But yeah, that's the joys of crankbait fishing there, and you're always trying to fit as many as you can in one box, so it never fails. They're all going to grab each other and come out as 12 crankbaits at a time. But I figured your box is the same way.
pretty much the same way. I take all the dividers out, and then what I do to help create less of a jumble is we buy I think they're called loom bands. You can get them at Walmart, Dollar General, wherever. They're for girls that used to make them loom necklaces, bracelets, or whatever. They're just really small bands. We
Oh
have
yeah,
thousands, if not millions, of them. You just take that and wrap it around the hooks. You can wrap it around the bait too, but I just kind of tie those two hooks together, three hooks if it's a jerk bait. You wrap them all together, and then at least, of course, I don't know if I have anything out here like that, but at least then it's all the hooks are contained, it's tied up to the bait, so they'll still stick to each other, but the hooks
yeah,
aren't getting in each other's split rings, and you'll have
yeah.
two or three baits stuck together instead of 14 or 15 when you pull them
Right.
out of the box. But that's what I do too. I pretty much have everything in like 3700 deeps, just four rows of just nothing but crankbaits and jumbled and all all stuck together with rubber bands and whatnot. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the way to do it. It helps you stay a little more organized. That's good for sure.
And then while we're on crankbaits, pretty similar topic is jerkbaits. So same kind of thing. If we can pick your brain on jerkbait setup,
Yeah,
anything of that you would like to go over as well.
for sure. So I had the opportunity to kind of start from scratch and design some rods for Fish USA over the last couple years. So we recently just designed a jerkbait rod for them. So it's the Fish USA flagship Elite, and we named it the Twitcher because it's designed for your small jerk baits, top waters, things like that. So I feel like it's the perfect jerk bait setup. That a jerk bait is something that I throw a ton. I mean, I throw a jerk bait a lot. Pretty much every lake that we go to, not even a lake, any fishery that I go to, I'm going to have at least one jerk bait in the boat rigged up, at least one, if not a few. It's something that I rely heavily on. So I feel like my setup is very dialed in. I have caught and weighed and won a lot of money and weighed a lot of bass on a jerk bait over the last few years. That's for sure. So it's a 6'10" medium, moderate fast action. So it's got a fairly fast tip that very snappy, allow you to work the jerk bait well. But it's got kind of that medium, moderate action that when you do hook a fish, a lot of the rod bends, and you let the rod do a lot of the work for fighting the fish. And I like a little bit shorter rod, like I said, a 6'10". because you're twitching rod tip down. So as you're doing that, you don't want to be hitting the gunnel of the boat or hitting the water or anything like that. So I like that shorter rod. And then, I'm a little bit different on the reel than I feel like most guys is I generally like to throw a little bit faster gear ratio. So I use either a 7.1 or an 8.1 gear ratio reel, a little bit on the faster end, just because I want to be able to pick up that line if I need to. Sometimes I'm working it really slow, sometimes I'm working it really fast. So I just want that, medium ground speed on my reel that I can, do what I want with it, and allow the rod to do most of the work as far as fighting and hooking and landing the fish like that. Now, as far as line, generally, even for crankbaits, so crankbaits and jerkbaits, pretty much, I would say 99% of the time, I'm throwing a crankbait or a jerkbait. I'm throwing 12-pound Seagar and VizX fluorocarbon. That's like my go-to. I use that, like I said, probably 99% of the time. There's a small time I'll use a little bit heavier line, like 15-pound, and rarely would I ever go to 10-pound. I would say that is an extremely rare situation I would do that. But like I said, 99% of the time, if I'm throwing a jerkbait or a crankbait, I've got 12-pound Seagar and VizX spooled up. Love that stuff. It's super abrasion resistant, durable, and handles those baits perfectly.
That's what I have on all my rods as well. I keep it simple. I have two different line sizes. I use 12 and then 20 for the heavy duty stuff. I have 12 on everything else, chatterbaits,
Yeah,
everything. So it's pretty nice to be able to keep it like that. And 12-pound, I've never really broken off or had any issue that wasn't self-inflicted. I can't blame the line for any of my issues I've ever had with it. So
for sure, for sure. And I mean, the big thing with line is you have to pay attention to the diameter of the line. So, I mean, I use Seagar, so it runs on the thinner side of your fluorocarbon lines. If you look at, say, a gamma line, the diameter is a lot thicker per pound test. So you just want to make sure you pay attention to the diameter as much as the pound test label that it has on there. But like I said, 12-pound Seagar and VizX is my go-to.
the only thing you didn't bring up with the jerkbait setup was an Erie setup. I don't know if how often you do it, but pretty much anytime I'm fishing Erie is I got two jerkbaits tied on, one on a spinning pole and one on a casting pole.
Yeah,
uh, Helps to alternate wrists from breaking your wrist all day, and then for the 40-mile-an-hour wind days, it's kind of hard throwing it on a bait caster. So
yeah, for sure. When it's that windy, sometimes you got to drop it down to a spinning rod, and yeah, I mean, it's fun catching them on a spinning rod too. You can back that drag off and just let them go, and there's definitely a time and a place for that. It's fun.
oh yeah, largemouth not so much, but smallmouth out on the Great Lakes when it's open water, just let them have fun. You got 9 hooks in them, so.
Yeah, let them be for sure. Yeah, there's other situations where you may have to put the wood to them a little bit, and don't let them fight near as much. That's when you're using a little bit heavier equipment. But I like the spinning rod once in a while. So I see this question: am I a believer in red crankbaits? Absolutely, I'm a believer. It's just something about that cold water in the spring, that red crankbaits just get bit. I don't have a scientific reason for it or some crazy elaborate theory. It just a red crawdad colored crankbait when the water is, say, below 60 degrees, really probably below 55 degrees, especially down here in Tennessee. If the water's below 55 degrees in the spring, a red crankbait is going to be tied on in my boat. Now, on the flip side, what I've noticed, so it's not always just a water temperature thing, because when you get below 55 in the fall, I don't seem to catch them on the red crankbait as much. So really, it's that cold water in the spring as it's warming up before they get ready to spawn. A red crankbait is phenomenal, and it's something that you got to have in the spring, no doubt.
I 100% agree with that. I'm a believer in the red crankbait as well. I have seen it work summer, fall. dirty water. It seems like you got to have a little bit of dirty water just because that red shows up usually with a red, orange, black. Usually any red
Yeah,
crankbait's gonna have good contrast on it. My dad will throw a red crankbait anytime it's dirty, regardless of time of year, and he believes in that, and I've seen it work. So there's
for
definitely, I
sure.
think, you just need a little bit of watercolor. I mean, you can't go out in middle of Lake Erie in 40-foot clear water, throw a red crankbait and catch fish, but you get
I
a little
know.
stain in the
So
water.
it blows my mind every time. Like, so stage one this year on the Bass Pro Tour was at Lake Gunnersville. The water was extremely clean. I mean, I'd say you could see probably 4 to 6 feet in some places, and maybe even cleaner in other parts of the lake. And I mean, guys just absolutely smashed them on the brightest, ugliest red baits you could find. I mean, the fire crawl chatterbaits, the bright red and orange traps, and small crankbaits, like beautiful, clean green water, and they just absolutely smashed him on the brightest red baits. It was pretty crazy to see that. I was kind of with you. I was going for more of those more natural reddish colors. You're more like kind of a brown and red or a black and red, kind of your darker with just a little bit of red mixed in. But I mean, I got my butt kicked by guys throwing straight bright orange in that clean water, and it's pretty crazy to see that.
Well, we know, especially on the Great Lakes, one of my favorite color jerkbaits is just all bright chartreuse, even if the water's gin clear. So, add in fish aggression too. I'm sure if fish are aggressive, they're gonna eat whatever you're putting in front of their face if it looks good. So,
For
lot of things influence it and everything. So, I think there's a lot to it. But yeah, so throw red anytime you're in the spring or got some color in the water is basically all you got to do. And find your
Yeah,
red crankbait that you like. I make 4 or 5 different red colors, just different variations. Everyone kind of has their own preference. My dad likes something with red and chartreuse on it. I like something with really bright chartreuse, a little bit orange and red on it. So whatever your preference is, stick with it, and you're gonna catch fish on that. We
I
have another
totally
comment.
agree. What age did I start bass fishing? I'm going to be honest. I don't ever remember not bass fishing. So
I agree.
I would say I was very, very young. I think my dad had me out on the boat before I was even a year old. I mean, so I would say I started at age 0.
I'm right there with you at some point.
Yeah.
As long as I can remember, I've been fishing. So
Yeah. I don't ever remember a time where I wasn't in love with bass fishing, put it that way. It's something that's always been a part of my life for sure.
then also wanted to talk about you with you since kind of have the same roots. You've grown up fishing the Mon River, places around here. So, for those that don't know about the luxury of fishing the three rivers in general, I wanted to just have everyone get filled in on kind of the what we get to deal with. If anyone's watched like what was it, '05, the Bassmaster Classic, when
Yeah.
it was in Pittsburgh, that was a great showing of what we have. So if you want to talk about growing up fishing the three rivers, how it kind of makes you cut your teeth fishing
No.
finesse, fishing hard.
Yeah, the biggest thing that growing up on the Three Rivers in Pittsburgh has taught me is just the importance of hooking and landing every bite you get, because bites are at a premium on a tough fishery like that. So it's really kind of ingrained that into me as I was coming up through the ranks, and get cutting my teeth, and coming up fishing tournaments, all that sort of stuff. Started having some success, and that kind of breeds wanting to fish more tournaments, bigger tournaments, and so on. And here we are now. This is all I do. It's pretty crazy to think how quickly it can happen coming from that. But anyway, growing up, on the Three Rivers, every time, I fished a tournament trail that would fish every Sunday on the river there in Pittsburgh area. And man, the deal with that was, if you got a bite from a keeper size bass, you had to make sure that you landed it. So it really, taught me to always be tinkering with my equipment and different hooks, and making sure everything was just right, that when that fish did bite, I was going to hook that fish, I was going to land it, and in turn, you know, hopefully win the tournament that day. So a couple of those things happened, and it kind of just stuck with me, and that's the biggest thing I learned, and really that still helps me to this day. Now, I fish on the Bass Pro Tour. It's every fish counts over a minimum weight, a 2 pound minimum for most fisheries. So catching and landing every bite that you get is super important to do well in that format. So that is super super important, and definitely glad that I grew up there and had that kind of ingrained into my fishing style.
Makes you appreciate a 2 pounder a heck of a lot more when you're netting 12 inchers and trying to stretch incher to make.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
My dad sent in a comment. Craziest tournament experience you've had, if you don't mind sharing.
Man, let me think on that one. Surely I got some. I mean, I've got some stories for sure. If I could think about, what's the craziest one? I mean, for me, the one that comes to mind, the most memorable for me, I don't know if it's the craziest. I'll have to think more on that. The most memorable one for sure would be um, taking down Kevin Van Dam in his final tournament at Saginaw Bay to win a Bass Pro Tour event. He was leading going into the final day, and we kind of came from behind and took him down on the final day. So that's very memorable to me to do that. Let me think. So, I got a crazy story that it goes back to, fishing on the rivers actually. We fishing one of those buddy tournaments every Sunday. We had a crazy experience where, so I had my boat, my buddy had his boat as a team tournament. We actually started the tournament in my buddy's boat. We took off at morning takeoff. We ran, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles down the river, and his motor blew up. So we're like, crap, we're screwed for the day, whatever. Anyway, we troll all the way back to the ramp, get the boat on the trailer, take the boat over to my house, pick up my boat, go back, relaunch the boat, go check in with the tournament director. He checks our live wells, everything, gives us a second start. So by this point, we've lost, I don't know, two hours of our tournament day, and we end up taking off and running way down the river. I think we went 2 locks down the river, and ended up catching enough to win the tournament. We even with the limited day. So that was one of the more crazy experiences. We started the day in one boat, blew it up, went back, got another boat, came back, and ended up winning the tournament after that. That was definitely a crazy experience for sure.
I don't know what it is with the Three Rivers, but the amount of boats just in my personal family has motors blown. Like going back to my grandfather, my dad. Thankfully, I have yet to knock on wood. I'm yet to blow a motor. I don't fish the Three Rivers as much as I used to, but like my pap's probably blown up 10 or 15 motors himself. My dad's blown up 5 to 10 motors himself. Just, of course, they have bullets. They're screaming down, trying to get 90 miles an hour. It doesn't help. But, like, I don't know what it is with that river, but it just blows motors apart.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of all that. You're making long runs generally, so the motors are putting in some work for sure, and especially those old two strokes. I mean, you're running those around like you're going to blow them up running around the river.
Let alone hitting all the stuff you can hit. My dad's hit
Yeah,
a like a not a barge cell, a channel buoy before, about split the hull on a bullet. I mean, he's been almost upside down and that thing
yeah,
from barge wake and all that. So it's unique, to
for
say the
sure.
least.
For sure. The river, I mean, and they're really a cool fishery. Like I honestly, I kind of miss fishing there once in a while. I would like to come back and fish, a few days in a row and kind of get um, kind of catch up on what's been going on. I know they took out the lock that I used to live right there, but in Elizabeth, so that's really changed that area of the river because the pool that was above the lock, the water level dropped, and the pool that was below the lock, the water level rose. So it's really changed a lot of the habitat, especially along the shoreline of where the fish were living. And I want to make it back there sometime soon and fish for a few days and really see, what the river's like now. And I know that, I mean, they've been catching quite a lot of fish. I keep up with a few of the guys up there that still fish. My dad fishes there all the time, and he's been saying it is pretty good the last couple of years. So I would really like to get back there sometime soon and get to experience all that again.
Maybe you can make me go fish it because I haven't fished it in a couple of years myself, probably since I bought my walleye boat for sure. So maybe you'll
Yeah.
have to drag me out. We can do a day out there
Well, yeah.
and
I mean,
grind a little bit.
when you guys have a camp on Erie, it's hard to go anywhere but Erie. I mean, I'm with you there. Erie's the place to be.
For sure. But maybe we'll make a river grinder happen just for old time's sake. Ground ourselves. Show what we had to put up with for how many years.
Right?
What made us fishermen, like you know it as well as I do. You have to really refine your skills like you talked about. You got to really learn how to be a finesse fisherman, capitalize on bites, because you're not getting 5 pound bites left and right. You're getting 10 to 14 inches, and like, hey, those are 14 inches. Those are good fish. Try to get a 3 pound kicker, and you're looking
Yeah.
good. So.
That's a great day on the Three Rivers for sure. So it really puts things into perspective when you're targeting a 13 or 14-inch fish. I
Then
think it would be a great location for one of the Major League Fishing Team Series events with a 1 pound minimum. I think it would be really cool, really exciting, cool scenery, cool area. So
oh
I
yeah,
would love for that to happen and be a part of that for sure.
maybe try to pull some strings, see if we can make that happen. That'd be
Yeah,
fun to follow you around doing
yeah,
that. So we had a blast following you on Erie.
yeah, we'll have to see what we can do about that one.
Then last call for if anyone watching has any questions they want answered by us. Don't want to hold up Matt too long because he does have a pretty big tournament he's got to prepare for in a couple weeks. So if anyone has any final questions, get them in now, and we'll get it covered before we end this thing. So
Yeah, no, it's been cool catching up with you, and definitely excited to see you guys in just a couple weeks here at Redcrest.
yeah, we'll
That
flights are
tournament,
booked.
I think that's going to be an absolute fish catcher for sure. Like that's going to be a ton of fish caught in that tournament. You're going to see all stages of the spawn, all species of bass, any way you want to fish, power fishing, finesse fishing, crankbait fishing, jerkbait, doesn't matter. Like there's going to be a bass caught on pretty much anything that you could pull out of the tackle compartment of your boat at Table Rock, and that's fun. It's going to come down to small little decisions on how to separate yourself and do well in that tournament. So that's something that I'm looking forward to the challenge. Appreciate everyone wishing us luck, and hopefully we're fishing all 3 days and bringing home a trophy.
Absolutely. We're pulling for you, so we'll be there. We're not taking the boat or anything. We are flying, so we can't follow
Yeah,
you around on the lake, but we'll see you
I
when
don't
we
blame you.
can. Hopefully, we won't see you at the expo.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you'll be fishing, so.
we'll see you at media day for sure.
Yep. So, doesn't look like we have any other questions. Pretty much covered everything I have written down. I guess
Cool.
the one last thing I wanted to bring up was we did work or when you were with Bagley, you were
Yeah,
the connection I got to be able to design their crankbaits. Can you pull out that? We actually have a little display here of the crankbaits we designed. So,
that's cool. Oh, heck
try to
yeah.
get around this mic.
Oh,
So,
that's
might have to
awesome.
have you sign this next time we see you in person where I have it with me. I'm not taking it
Yeah.
to with me to. Ooh.
Yeah. We had some technical difficulties. You knocked out the headphones.
Whoops. I just dropped everything, so sorry about that.
That's how it goes
And
on
don't have
live
audio, so
stream.
hopefully you can still hear me.
Yeah, I hear you. You're all good. I hear you. Everything's good.
Anyways, Matt, since I don't have audio, if you wouldn't mind closing out the show for us.
No, I hear you. Everything sounds good.
the
But
show, but
yeah, no, for sure. That appreciate you having me on, and definitely cool to see those baits that you help design with Bagley, and it's gone full circle now, and now I'm back technically working with them with GSM, so it's cool to see all that. Um, hate that your mic fell off and we're ending on some technical difficulties, but it's super cool that you got the live stream going. And anytime that I can help you out in the future, you let me
oh
know. You back?
yeah, we're back. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
you
My
back? Got
audio thing fell when I put the Bagley baits to the side. So
it.
hey, we're still learning all this. So like we said,
Absolutely.
this is in a garage. This ain't in a studio or nothing. So
You don't have a full time producer and everything there working
uh,
for you.
my dad, if you want to call him the producer. So
He's the producer. Cool. Well, no, I definitely appreciate
well,
you having me on. And yeah, if you ever want to talk fishing again, for sure, let me know, and I'll be glad to hop on here and talk with you guys. I think it's awesome what you're doing, and hopefully it'll help you continue to grow.
well, thank you very much for joining on. Maybe we can make this happen later down in the future, down the line again in the year. We'd love to have you, and good luck at Red Crest, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, and we'll be pulling for you. Hopefully, all the Folks Custom Cranks followers will be pulling for you as well. So,
Sounds good. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys.
thank you guys for watching. Matt, all of his information's on the screen. You can follow him. We got his QR code, all his socials down there. So, if you ever need anything from Matt, all his info's there. So, thank you guys for watching this live stream, and we'll see you guys next week.